Welcome everyone to today's BizSmart Lunch and Learn webinar. I would like to introduce today's presenter, Dave Pagett from Pagett IT Solutions. Today's webinar will give you an insight into the cloud solutions. What is it, and is this solution right for me and my organisation? Please take the opportunity during the webinar to post any questions using your function panel, and we will do our best to answer them at the end. Over to you, Dave.
So, hello everybody. My name's Dave. I run a company called Pagett IT Solutions. We're based in Worcester, and in essence we are an IT services provider. Do everything from fix your laptop to do installations of servers, etc. One of the questions I keep coming across and people keep asking me, it's the buzzword at the moment, is what is the cloud, and is it right for me? So I thought I would just give half an hour, 45 minutes to try and explain the differences. Is it right for your business, and what the benefits are, and just to give you an insight really, or a little overview of what type of services it can provide. So what is the cloud? If you look on Wikipedia, I guess, it comes out lots of jargon, but basically it's large groups of remote servers that are networked and allow centralized data storage and online access to computer services or resources. However, in the layman's terms, it is a large building, a big warehouse full of servers that basically will store your data. And the data can be things like your Word and Excel files, it can be your email, it can be operating systems, it can be complete systems running SQL, etc. So that data is contained in what's called the data center, which, if the data centers around Bromsgrove and Worcester, you've got one at Studley and you have one over in Telford, Enter, for example, if any of you know those sort of areas. They're highly secure. They have quite a decent broadband connection, and you need to get your name and give you a sort of your left arm really to get access to the building. So they're highly secure environments, but they do offer 99.9% of reliability, and they back up your data and things like that. And access, you can access them all over the world. So again, in sort of layman's terms, that's what the cloud really is. It's just a whole room full of servers, or a building full of servers that stores your data. So cloud offerings, there are three types of cloud really, which is public, private, and hybrid. The most common one that I tend to install is the hybrid, which I'll come back onto later. You have the public and the private cloud are fairly similar in the way that they're set up, as in all the servers are in one place and you log in remotely to it. However, the public is the data center over at Enter, for example. That will be a public offering, and the private cloud is like you have a large enterprise company where all their servers are hosted in their building and everybody logs in to those. But again, it's sort of classed as a public cloud. You have a fully hosted cloud, which is basically if you're used to your PC being on your desk with your laptop, and you have a bit of tin in the corner called a server, where you save all your files to, and somebody backs that server up for you every night to a tape or a hard disk. You can literally outsource the whole of that server to a public or a private cloud, and that's called, it's a fully hosted solution, where you would just have an icon on your desktop or your iPad or your tablet, where you would just remote desktop to these servers. The easiest, I suppose, way to relate to cloud offerings, things like Google Drive, I'm guessing that's quite a common one, where you save your data. You also have things like Live Drive, and Microsoft offering, which is called OneDrive for Business, which used to be called SkyDrive, if anybody's in the know. The other common one is Dropbox, really. They're all cloud-based solutions where you can store your data. However, the they also store data local to your machine, and you can share them, and you don't need to worry about backing anything up. And if your PC breaks, you just go to the PC next to you, log in through a browser, and you get access to your data. Now, the only problem is obviously with data, it is highly secure in the sense that nobody can get access to the physical servers and the building, etc., unless your name's on the list. However, there are, as you've heard, lots of people out there trying to hack into these data centers, or they put software on your laptop, your device, without you even knowing about it, and then they get access to your usernames and passwords. But then there's also, when you do store your data, if it goes over to data centers over in America, they have something called I think it's called the Patriot Law, which basically allows the American government to access any data without telling you. So, they sort of say it's all about terrorism, they're trying to stop terrorism and all this sort of stuff, but they've created this law which basically gives them access to your data. Now, again, this is just my opinion. Yeah, they can access my data. It's not exactly interesting. Yeah, they've got all my customer details on there, but is it of any use? Maybe not. So it is a risk, and if you don't want the Americans to have access to your data, then you make sure that you use data centers over in the UK. As there are a lot of them. And you also need to make sure that those data centers replicate their data all over the country. From a disaster recovery point of view, if that data center blows up as a fire or whatever, then you need to make sure that your data is safe. And generally speaking, data centers generally replicate all their data. Well, there's data centers in London which they replicate to. Is a common one, Manchester, Nottingham, the two other common places as well. So if you are looking at cloud, or you're interested in the cloud and you want to store your data off-site, then make sure you get a UK-based company that will offer you UK data centers, which is always a good idea. So what else we got next? Offsite backups. Again, that's really, you need to, I guess, look at the way your business operates. As far as offsite backups goes, they're a great idea in that your data is kept off-site. Your server is replicated every single night to somewhere, and if you need to recover data, you can do a restore. It's great for disaster recovery, because if your building does burn down, you've still got a copy of all your data and all your operating systems, etc., and you don't need to rely on people to swap the hard disks out or the tape drive every single night. It's an automated system, an automated solution. The only thing you really need to make sure of is that somebody does check that process every morning to make sure the process has run and it's worked and copied your data off to the cloud. Now, there are a few downsides to offsite storage, and that is if your server breaks, you need to get hold of that data fairly quickly, which basically usually means you speak to the people who provided you with that offsite backup solution, and they need to copy your data and get it from somewhere, and usually it's couriered on a hard drive. Potentially, you've got to wait 24 hours for that data to arrive. Instead of, obviously, if you back up to a USB hard drive or a tape which somebody takes home every night, you've got access to that data instantly. That's if you remember to do it. There's also obviously costs as well. As your business grows, the costs to store that data increase because you're generating a lot more data, and potentially, depending on what solution you go for, you could be tied in to that for a year, 3 months, etc., etc. Things like the couple of products that we use, Windows Azure is an offsite backup. We use GFI, which again is another agent. Dropbox is another one, Dropbox for business. They're all, roughly speaking, they're around 50 to 75 pence a month per gig. So it doesn't sound a lot, but when you've got 200-300 gigs worth of data, that it soon mounts up over a little period of time. and again, it's something that you need to keep an eye on, because they can get out of control in some cases. Another thing I was going to talk about is Microsoft's offering of Office 365. That seems to be everywhere at the moment, and it is, to be fair, a really good product for email. So if you're used to your corporate email with shared calendars, contacts, you want it to synchronize to your phone, etc., then Office 365 is really good. You've also got Google as well, which offers a similar sort of thing, but it's my preference. I've gone down the Office 365 route really because when you buy a license, the Office 365 Small Business Premium license, you get a desktop copy of Office with it, and for £100 a year, you get access to Word, Excel, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, and you get a 50 gig mailbox, you get anti-spam and antivirus scanning of all email, and now they've introduced 1 terabyte storage in the cloud, all part of that £100 a month subscription. And we're doing a lot at the moment where customers are replacing their servers, and instead of buying a Microsoft Exchange or small business server and spending a lot of money on licenses, they're buying Office 365, and we're moving all their email into the cloud, and then everybody gets the latest version of Office, which we install on their PCs. But the main thing for me, the main difference is that with every user license that you buy, that user has the ability to install it onto 5 devices. So, for example, I buy a license, I can install it onto my laptop in the office, my PC at home, my iPad or my tablet, and my phone, and that's 4 licenses used. And my tablet and my phone, I've got access to my data through OneDrive, where I can edit Word and Excel and PowerPoint documents. I can do a quote in the office on my laptop. I go to site with my iPad, I can edit that quote, we can amend it to whatever the customer requirements are. I can save it and then email it across to the client, and that for me is really, really useful, because it is everything that I do synchronises with my Office, my Outlook, everywhere using that one license. Now I find that really, really useful. Saves me a lot of time, and there isn't a great deal of paperwork anymore. Gone are the days where I carry a file around with me with lots and lots of sheets of paper. So that's one of the benefits of cloud solutions and Office 365, in that it is really, really clever and saves you a lot of time and a lot of money. But Google also offer a similar sort of thing. My personal preference is 365 because Google doesn't offer the functionality, for example, of Word and Excel. And Google doesn't offer the functionality that Office 365 does. So we go into the next one, which is security. Now, security is a big thing, really, in that obviously your data is in the cloud, relying on a third-party person third-party provider to not only provide you access to your data, but obviously keep it secure and stop anybody else getting access to it. There are obviously risks. It is based on generally username and password. You can get encryption set up on it, so you can get it as sophisticated as you like. However, it's only really the same as if you're logging in remotely to your server in the office. If you don't have a security policy in place, usernames, sophisticated passwords with numbers, letters, and things like the @ sign or the exclamation mark, those type of things in your password, then you are in essence vulnerable. So when you're thinking about cloud solutions, and maybe if you want to go the whole hog and put your stuff in the cloud, you do need to implement security policies. You also need to make sure that the data center itself has security policies, and if you are in any way holding client information, then it needs to be encrypted. We also need policies in place so when people leave, for example, they can't download the data to their laptop and run off with it, or a USB stick, for example. You know, you do need to have a serious think about this, the security side of things, because at the end of the day, it is your data, and you know, we need to look after it. So I'm just trying to think. Does anybody, without me waffling on too much, has any of you guys got any questions? I seem to be talking quite a lot here.
Just so thank you very much, Dave, for that. But if there is any questions, if anyone would like to send them through, we've had one so far, and like Dave said, security seems to be sort of on the top of our agenda, really. So how do we really know that our data is secure?
Well, first thing, if you're browsing, if you can access your data, obviously from a data center through a browser or through a remote desktop, now you need to make sure that you have what's called a certificate, which is provided by the data center, which encrypts your data. So when the data leaves the data center, it's encrypted, and then when it goes onto your PC, your laptop, your device, it's sent unencrypted. So that's one way of doing it. You need, as mentioned, sophisticated passwords, and not just password. You know, it needs to be a combination of 8 characters, usually, or more, with letters, numbers, and a few other characters in it. You need to potentially set up a secure VPN channel, which is a technical term, but the people providing you with that data center and that access to your data can provide you with a secure VPN channel. So you know, it's basically like a direct connection between your machine and the data center where nobody else can get access to it. And again, all the data is encrypted. If you're going through a browser, it's a bit like your online banking. If you make sure that you've got the padlock in your browser, and it usually comes up and says, you know, do you want to install a certificate and things like that. So that's one way of knowing that your data is secure. But you know, it's been a little bit sort of vigilant really, and thinking about you know, security in your policies.
Great, thank you. One more question about Office 365. So how good is the email system, and is it easy to transfer our information over?
Okay. Well, basically, the email system is, if anybody is used to Microsoft Exchange in a corporate environment where you have a server and all your email goes on there, it's exactly the same, but you don't have a server, in a sense, you don't have a server in your office, it's in the cloud. So it's very simple to use, and we're doing a lot of migrations, and like put my hybrid slide up now really, because it does move me on to hybrid solutions where the easiest and the solution that gives you less impact but more benefit to your business is a hybrid solution where you put your email in the cloud. And that is because it is, once the work's done and we've migrated your domain over, and we've uploaded all your email, and then we've got it synchronizing with all your devices, and then you can create simple things like on your phone when you're in a meeting, you can invite people to that meeting, send that meeting request off, get to your office, and if they've accepted, then it's in your Outlook when you get to the office. I mean, you know, people that we've done it for without a word of a lie have said, you know, this has changed my life. It's absolutely brilliant, and for the many, it is fantastic, I think. We are, again, you know, you need to look at the way your business runs, the way it functions, and the easiest thing to do is to use 365 and put your mail in the cloud and using Outlook or Outlook Web Access as the client. Now, even if you don't have your machine with you or a phone and you go away on holiday, you know, if you are a little bit sad like me and you're addicted to your email, you jump on the hotel's PC, you log in through their browser, and then you can check your mail, respond to it, and it is literally like having Outlook in your office, you know, on your PC. And you have a 50 gig mailbox, which in my experience, the largest mailbox I've ever seen is around 6 gig, so there's plenty of space there. You get spam filtering and antivirus of all inbound and outbound mail, and yeah, it just makes life a whole lot easier really, and you don't need to worry about backing the thing up. So if your laptop dies, like they do, the hard disk fails, it's the weakest point of your laptop is your hard drive. Literally plug a new hard drive in, reload the operating system on, we log into the portal, download the software, and all your data, if you have got your data in the cloud using OneDrive, and all your email just downloads. Generally speaking, depending on your internet connection, we'll have your machine back up and running within about an hour, as it was before the hard drive failed. You know, that's the beauty of 365. It is, from our side, extremely easy to set up. It's just, there's a lot of donkey work and things like setting up user accounts, uploading a lot of data, but it is really, really clever, and it does make your life a lot easier. The cloud isn't for everybody, you know, which is why we're sort of talking about hybrid solutions really, where the mail's in the cloud and your data's local, because, you know, this security thing and people thinking that their data is whizzing all around the world, being replicated everywhere, and everyone's got access to it, which is understandable. But is anybody really interested in your data? That's, you know, only you guys can answer that question. But having your data local and backing it up, maybe to the cloud or to an external device, and having your email in the cloud seems to be the way a lot of my clients are going towards that at the moment. We're doing a lot of work in that type of sector. So yeah. And is there anything else?
Okay, thanks very much, Dave. I hope you found that session interesting. I'll send out a copy of the slides to everybody that's logged on today, and that's got Dave's full contact details on there. Just to let you know, the next webinar will be held on Monday the 15th of December, and the presenter will be Nigel Denand from the Sandler Training, and he will talk about his non-traditional sales training techniques for all. If you'd like to know more information about that, then drop me an email. Caroline@biz-smart.co.uk. Many thanks everyone for joining us today.